Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years, and our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
Which is what? Buying a house, moving a house. So that's important to understand. So we'll go back and review a little bit for the straight line, because that's something I've been studying in detail a lot here lately. It's very similar to the strategic seduction that we teach, right? We talk about the overall straight line. And I thought it was important to kind of break down what Jordan was talking about too in regards to old school versus new school. There's a lot of talk out there, especially on Instagram, Facebook, all this stuff. Everybody's talking about the old school way of doing things and the new school way of doing things. And you're all getting bombarded with shit all the time that may or may not work. And so I want you guys to understand that part, what it is. The old school method, which he talks about, teaches us a little bit, is basically kind of broken down a certain way. In a pie chart, if you had it, you had basically, I'll start out with the first part, kind of hear what it was. So 10% was report, right? You guys remember this? So it's old school way, it's not what Levis taught. 10% of what we're doing is build rapport. 20% is spent on their needs. Some of y'all may have seen this. Anybody remember this before? Yeah. Right? 30% was presentation. And then ultimately, the 40% was spent on closing. Now, that obviously makes pretty good sense, right? So you got 10% rapport, 20% needs, 30% presentation, 40% closing. This is how the old school methods always have been, right? And so, obviously, I still think that's kind of where most of it's been anyways. And so the other option there is the new school, which you're seeing a lot of this stuff online right now because they're trying to make things different. And it's very different ultimately in a way, but they have where it's kind of broken down. 40% is relationships, building relationship, which will kind of be rapport, right? 30% identifying needs, and then 20% offering solutions, and then 10% confirming closing.
Like completely switched.
Crazy, right? Why?
People are different now. They just need fucking reassurance. I think. I feel like
The new one is like, oh, we're just
yeah.
friends. Like Jordan says that I'm just here to help out people. Like I'm your friend. That's that kind of that new mentality.
It's a new consulting.
Yeah, like, I'm just here to help you out. I'm
You
your
notice
friend.
everybody online you see is like a consultant.
Yeah.
Consulting about this, consulting about that. And so ultimately I totally agree with him on his thing on this aspect of it, is that this way here is total bullshit, in my opinion, of this aspect. Why?
There's probably a lot being left on the table. I mean, honestly, if you're not spending as much time on the close, you're really just building a buddy, and my buddies don't pay me shit, honestly.
Exactly right. That's how you get a lot of laydowns, right? So the problem, why is that? Because we all have a psychological framework in regards to how to make decisions. I've said this a million times about you making decisions for coaching, doing all these things. It's a lot different in regards to making big time decisions with big time money. You're going to want to think about it. It's natural to think about it. It's natural to have to be closed and to want to be closed. And so the challenge of both of these is neither one of these actually work long term. And so that's why we're on the similar model of the whole strategic seduction and also for the straight line. And we'll talk about the straight line, obviously, is something that's universal to work together. But the reality is we can't just focus on one. We got to be doing all of these all the time. And so talk about, and what we do here especially, is we got to be closing 100% of the time. 100% of the time. Why? Why is that important for us in our business?
It keeps the whole thing afloat. I mean, we got to close in different ways for everything you do. On the phone, you got to close in order to get belly to belly. Once you're belly to belly, you got to close in order to have permission to even work for them. Then when you're working for them, you got to be closing to continue to earn that permission. And then even on the back end, you got to be closing on that the process is going smooth. It's a never-ending closing game in these transactions.
And then referrals even after that. You know.
That's exactly what I was looking for, right? So our business is so different we have so many different products, including yourself, your company, us, right? The 50 houses they look at, and even on the listing side, right? They list with us or not, they believe in our guaranteed sold system or not, they believe the price you're telling them, they believe the offer they're getting is a good enough offer. And so there's so many aspects of this that are totally different. And so we have to be on the line. Obviously, we're constantly doing what? Getting permission and closing, getting permission and closing, getting permission and closing, because we're stacking these on top of each other through a process which makes a big difference. Right?
I was also going to say that just building the relationship on relationships is such a flimsy thing. I mean, I've had so many friends, and I've seen it in real estate itself, where you bring in a friend and they won't sign. They're like, oh, I do business on a handshake.
Yep.
And then they're the people that will stab you in the back and sign with somebody else and buy with somebody else.
Yep.
You're not giving them any true value.
Yeah.
Besides a friend, I mean.
Yep, that's one thing. It's all about building relationships, closing, right? Building relationship, closing. We talked about that process. Yes, sir?
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe not the word closing, but maybe progressing, because you gotta move them through the steps, you know, to move them progressively through the steps. And that's part of the closing, not if, it's when.
Yep.
And it's kinda like dating. I mean, you can become and build rapport, but if you never go for the kiss, then you're never gonna progress the relationship. And then you become friends, and you'll never have a chance.
Right.
Kind of the same process.
Yeah, right. Well, we get friend zone in business,
You're
right?
done.
That's the only way to do that. So,
Tony Moreland actually gave me a really good lesson on this. He counted the dollar amount he lost in his first year by just trying to be friends with his buddies and help them. They knew he got into real estate. They wanted to do business with him, so he never pushed him to sign anything. And he lost over $20,000 his first year in gross commissions that he could have pulled. And that was one of the first things that he and I kind of talked about, was how quick your buddies will screw you. And Joe's right. It's flimsy if you're just building it on the friendship.
yeah, you're screwed, right? And here's the thing, we all need to be close. Myself included, I've given a million examples of me needing to be close, right? And so one thing we're not going to do here, and that's one thing we're never going to apologize for closing to anybody. Because like we talked about last week and the week before that, is that we have an obligation to help close people, to help make decisions. And we talked about the pain, understanding why, and why it's important, because most like the guy Chase, right? The name Chase? Corey. Corey. Shit. Damn it. Corey. Damn it. I'll never get his name right. Corey. Freaking Corey. So Corey's situation, right, doesn't make decisions. And so that's got him in a bad spot where he's literally got an 8-month pregnant wife, pregnant girlfriend, living with his mommy in his mommy's house. Why? Because he can't make decisions and move forward. And so part of what we got to do as an influencer is to help influence them in that regard to do so. And that's how you can really change the trajectory of somebody's life, by doing that and making sure that we're making that decision, right? Or helping them make decisions. Because the problem, most people in life, they don't make any decisions. Especially ones that aren't successful. Ones that have success in life make decisions. Good or bad, they make a decision, you get off the pot and go. Right?